Hi folks, welcome to my Bit Retro Journal. This is a quick clip, 5 minutes or less. In a previous video, I had hooked up my Amiga 600 to a Samsung TV that came from the UK. And I got it off a free cycle, and I knew when I got it that it came from the UK because it had a SCART connector in the back. And it also had a weird antenna connector, which we don't have in the US. In the US, we use a coaxial, which is something that you can screw in. But this connector was strange, and it's actually what's called a Bellinglee connector, which we don't have in the US. In any case, I hooked the, I wanted to see how good the RF signal on the Amiga was, because I'd heard it's not so good, and I hooked the Amiga's RF, i.e. the TV signal, using an RCA cable to the back of the SCART TV, and I had to jerry-rig something to get it to connect, because obviously I didn't have the right connector. And then I compared it to the QL with an RCA cable connected to the TV input on NTSC TV input on this LCD monitor. I used a very thin, shoddy RCA cable for this, and I used a slightly better one for the Amiga because I wanted to do more of an apples to apples, and I knew that even if I had a weak cable on the QL, it would be good, because in the 90s that's how I used my my QL. And in any case, so I compared the two, and indeed the QL signal was still crisp even with a crappy RCA cable, whereas the Amiga signal was very grainy, lots of interference, and I tried to see if I could shield it more, but nothing worked. And so I ended up concluding that, hey, the Amiga RF signal isn't as good. However, since then, I've found this connector. So let me zoom in on this. So this is called a Bellinglee connector, and it converts Bellinglee to coaxial. So I'm going to use that to better connect my Amiga to the SCART TV. And along with this, I also have this RCA to coaxial, and then I can use a coaxial cable, which I have here. It's a pretty short one. And so what I can do is I can use the Bellinglee connector and connect it to this side. I'll just screw it right in. And then the RCA cable connected to this side. I just have to get the center one. There we go. Screw it in. And now I can have a really solid connection from my Amiga to the TV with no interference, and I get a better judge if the Amiga has as good a quality RCA signal as my QL does. So that's what I'm going to do. So let me go ahead and set up the TV in the Amiga, and I'll be back. I've got it set up. The Amiga has the cable to the back of the TV, and the picture is, I mean, absolutely no interference. It looks gorgeous. I was going to open up the Lemmings game because that really shows it, so let me do the Lemmings demo, because as soon as it got dark you could see interference, but I don't think there's any interference at all here. Yeah, there's no interference whatsoever. So this looks really good. So yeah, indeed, it was the connection of the RF output to the, yeah, look at that. I mean, it gets the same artifacts that the QL gets, which means the colors get more washed out, but there's no interference at all. Look at that. It's a nice, clear and clean picture, just as gorgeous as the QL. The only difference is I think the QL signal is still stronger because it can deal with a weaker cable, but having a really nice coaxial cable that goes to the back of the TV, reduces interference, is definitely makes a difference. And so this is gorgeous. I mean, again, obviously it's not as good as getting an RGB out, composite out, or even especially an RGB out, but press mouse button to continue. But yeah, so this is nice and crisp. This is definitely playable. So you could use your Amiga 600 on a TV and it would have been perfectly fine. You know, perhaps not, let me do a blocker here. But perfectly fine, and it would have just been, you know, obviously a monitor is always better, or getting composite output, but this is not bad. So I was wrong in my other video. The Amiga signal can be just as good as the QLs, and that's really all I want to show today. So I'm going to end here. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.